Hey Ella, so I'm going to go ahead and explain 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. I'm going to do it in three different videos just to kind of keep it small. So you should be on M578. That's what um, lesson 4.2 is M578. We're also going to need to have Desmos too. So if you want to get that open, I'll give you a few minutes to do that. I'll open mine as well. Okay, so this should be fairly simple. There's just a few things. My biggest thing would be to just make sure that you're listening and writing what I'm writing. And then since you're not in front of me, if you have any questions, maybe just write them off to the side of your book so when you come back, you can ask. So what we're doing is we're just comparing equations, tables, and graphs. So for this first one, we have Maya, and I know this is kind of hard to read, but it's in front of you, so it's fine. She saves up money. She lost all of the money in 25 months. The change in her money this time can be represented, and it has the function. And it says V is the value of her investment, and X is going to be the time in months. So when we're looking at Desmos, if it's VX, remember, the thing in the parentheses is always your X value. The thing outside is always your Y. Sorry. So we have our X value is going to be months, and then our V is going to be how much is in there. All right, so number one says three quadratic functions are shown. Which of these models represents Maya's investment over time? Explain your choice and why you eliminated the models. So some of these we can just look at by not even typing anything into Desmos. I would always do it just to make sure that you're good with everything, but I'm going to kind of explain here what we can do before we get to the Desmos piece. So from this equation, there's lots of things you can get. And remember, this is in general form. So general form, if you remember from previous lessons, will tell you if it's going to be up or down. And general form also gives you the y-intercept. So from this -3 tells us that it is going to open downward. And then this 75 tells us that my y-intercept is going to be 0.75. So my first thing that I would do here is look at the leading coefficient. So my leading coefficient is -3. Remember, it's the one that always has the number attached to the biggest exponent. So if we look here, if you look at model 1 over here on the left, its leading coefficient is also -3. So that could potentially be the winner, but we're not 100% sure. We don't know our leading coefficients for the other two. So to eliminate the other two, let's look at the y-intercept. And again, you can pick out the y-intercept from general form like we have here. Okay, so the y-intercept is when the x is 0 and whatever the y is. So here, my y-intercept is 0, 0. So I'm automatically knowing that model 2 is not going to match Maya's investment because 0, 0 is not going to match. The y-intercept here looks like for model 3 is also 0, 0. So model 3 is also not going to work. So our choice here would be model 1. And then we were able to do that just by looking at our leading coefficient over here on the right and our y-intercept. So you just need to make sure that you know those two things. Remember, again, the y-intercept is good for general form. Now you could have typed it in and found it and been just fine, but we can just we can just notify or just see it when it's in general form. So that's kind of how you would find that. You can go ahead and type in this equation to see if it matches. So if I have -3 and then I have x plus 1, x minus 25. So here's my arc, and of course we have to zoom out a little bit, but we can look and try to find our y-intercept, which is right here, which is 0.75. So that matches Maya's investment. All they did with this one right here is they put it in factored form. So that's the only difference here. So the model 1 is the factored form of our general form here. So the next part is how much money did Maya initially invest, and explain how you determined that answer. So an initial investment is going to be what happens before any time went by. So if you look at her graph here, our x values right here is our time, and our y value is our investment. So we want to know at no time at all how much did she already put in, and that's actually our y-intercept. So here it's important to know that the y-intercept is always going to be your initial value, what happens before any time goes or anything like that. So since her y-intercept was 0 to 75, that means at 0 months, she invested $75. So anytime you invest money, you have to put money in order for it to be invested. So that's kind of what that means there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next page. We should be using Desmos for this. Here we go. Okay. So here at the top, you can't really read it. I don't know why that's happening. Oh. Okay. The function models Maya's investment over time has a maximum value, and we saw that here. If we kept zooming out, we talked about how that opens up because of the -3. I'm going to go ahead and change these real quick. I'll have my x's go by 50 at -50. And have these go by 100 and see how that works. That's not what I want. Huh, that's weird. Why did it do that? There we go. We'll just go back to home. Okay. So I guess I'll just leave this in. What was the greatest value of Maya's investment over time? So here we just want the maximum. So if we look in Desmos and we scroll to find our maximum, which again would be nice if I changed my values appropriately. Okay, so we're going to look up here. We're going to see, and our maximum is 12,507. So here we know that our vertex or our maximum is 12,507. So it's asking, before she started losing money, what's the greatest investment she made? And she made $507. And then it wants to know how much time it took her to reach that maximum. And since our X is 12, that means it took 12 months. Now, this next part is the part that's kind of new. So it says, on average, how much did Maya's account gain in each value or each month from the time she opened the account to the time she reached its maximum? So what they want to know is from the initial value, which we said was 75, to 507, they want to know how much she gained. So what we have to do here, which we haven't done in a while, is when they're asking for an average like this, they want us to find the slope. And we did that back in first quarter or something. So remember, the slope formula is y minus y over x minus x. So they want to know from the time she opened the account. So that would be 0.75. That's our initial value. To the time it reached its maximum. So that would be 12,507. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug our y in for y and our x in for x and find the slope. So we have our y minus y. So 75 minus 507 divided by our x minus x, 0 minus 12. That's going to give us negative 432 over negative 12, which then gives us 36. So anytime they're wanting the average of an increase or a decrease, you're going to find that slope. And I think we do it again in some farther ones. But so what this means is she gained $36 each month. That's what the slope tells us, because it's money per month. So when we're doing our rise over run, we would rise 36 and run 1. So $36 each month. All right, so that is it for 4-2. That is what our Tuesday thing would be. So I will have the other videos to you as well. Thanks, Ella.